let's talk about a creature from South Africa that gets blamed for, well, pretty much everything. From stealing your keys and breaking up marriages, all the way to assault and even murder. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling folklore of the Tokoloshe, a name that's whispered in fear.
Wow. I mean, that quote really sets the scene, doesn't it? It taps right into that deep primal fear of what's lurking in the dark. The Tokoloshe isn't just some monster out in the woods, it's an intruder, one that violates the one place you're supposed to feel completely safe, your own bed.
So, what is this thing exactly? Well, the official definition calls it a dwarf-like spirit, sometimes mischievous, often malevolent. But trust me, that simple description barely scratches the surface. This is a deeply complex and contradictory figure.
And get this isn't just some old dusty legend. This belief actually shapes people's daily lives. When things go wrong, the Tokoloshe is often the prime suspect, and people take very real, practical precautions, like that famous practice of putting their beds up on bricks, just to stay out of its reach while they're asleep.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You can't just pin the Tokoloshe down. It isn't one single, easily defined creature. Its identity is this whole web of contradictions, and it shifts and changes depending on who's telling the story.
So you've got these two totally different versions, right? On one hand, you have the more traditional kind of rural version, a mischievous nature spirit, a trickster who might tickle your toes if you're bathing in a river. But as these stories moved into more urban areas, wow, the Tokoloshe took on a much, much darker role. It became a violent predator, a creature known for truly horrific acts like sexual assault and murder.
And trying to figure out what it looks like? Good luck with that. Is it a small, hairy goblin? Or maybe part cat, part zombie? Does it have a monkey's face? Or these huge, bulging red eyes? Some legends even say it has a bony ridge on its skull, strong enough to kill a bull with a single headbutt. And you know what? This variety isn't a mistake in the myth. It's the whole point. The Tokoloshe is whatever you're most afraid of.
So you might be wondering, where does a creature like this get its power? Well, the key to understanding the Tokoloshe is realizing that it doesn't usually act alone. It has a connection to a human master.
In Zulu tradition, that master is called the umthakati, or a witch. This is someone who uses dark magic, known as muti, specifically to hurt other people. And the Tokoloshe? It's rarely a free agent. It's basically the umthakati's sidekick, summoned and commanded to do the dirty work they're too afraid to do themselves.
And the way a Tokoloshe is supposedly created is, honestly, it's pretty gruesome. Witches use this dark muti, call a spirit from the water, and then animate it, sometimes by driving a red-hot poker right through its skull. Once it's created, it's bound to the witch's will. This is no natural being, it's a weapon, forged from pure malice.
But for every dark force, there's usually a force for good, right? The community's main defense against the Mtakati and their Tokoloshe is the Sangoma, a traditional healer. Sangomas are called by the ancestors, and they serve as diviners, spiritual guides, and most importantly, protectors.
So how do you fight back? Well, a Sangoma has a whole arsenal of defenses. Beyond the physical stuff, like putting bricks under the bed, they provide spiritual armor. They can burn sacred herbs like impefo, perform cleansing rituals, provide blessed amulets, and in really extreme cases, even conduct a full exorcism to banish the creature for good.
Okay, so this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn, moving beyond just folklore and into social psychology. Because the Tokoloshe isn't just about what we fear, it's about why we fear it.
And this is the crucial question. What if this monster, this goblin, is actually a scapegoat? A way for us to deal with evils that are just too difficult or maybe too dangerous to name out loud.
Check out this incredible real-world example from the 1990s. Doctors were treating kids who had needles lodged in their bodies, and the mothers all blamed a Tokoloshe. The doctors quickly realized this wasn't just superstition, it was a clever social tool that let them get help for their abused children without having to accuse a relative or neighbor and risk the social fallout.
And this idea extends to other kinds of violence, too. For someone who's been assaulted, blaming the Tokoloshe lets them seek spiritual and psychological healing from a Sangoma. The monster becomes a kind of shield, absorbing the blame and protecting the victim from the very real danger of retaliation from their actual human attacker.
This just perfectly illustrates how the Tokoloshe has evolved over time. It's not just a goblin in the river anymore. It's become a powerful, modern metaphor for the kinds of trauma that are often hidden in plain sight.
For a perfect example, just look at the 2018 horror movie simply called The Tokoloshe. In that film, the creature isn't just a physical monster. It's the living embodiment of patriarchal oppression, misogyny, and the deep, personal trauma of abuse that the main character is trying to escape.
And you know, this isn't unique to South Africa. Think about it. Films like The Babadook use a monster to represent grief, and Under the Shadow uses a djinn to explore the horrors of war. The Tokoloshe fits perfectly into this global tradition of using supernatural horror to explore our deepest, most human fears.
But wait, there are even practical, scientific theories about where this all started. One really compelling idea is that the legend began as a way to stop people from dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. Back in the day, people sleeping on mats near indoor fires would sometimes just die in their sleep. Well, since the gas is heavier than air, raising your bed on bricks to escape the Tokoloshe would also lift you above the deadly, invisible fumes.
But we have to remember, belief, whether it's in a monster or a metaphor, it has very real and sometimes truly tragic consequences. In 1933, a man was convicted of murdering his own nephew, claiming he mistook the boy for a Tokoloshe in the dark. It's a heartbreaking reminder that the line between myth and reality can sometimes blur with fatal results.
So, in the end, the story of the Tokoloshe forces us to ask a really tough question. When we tell stories about monsters that creep in at night, are we really talking about supernatural spirits, or are we just creating a way to talk about the very real evils that can lurk inside our homes, our communities, and even ourselves?